Johnny, officially on behalf of ReggaeVibes, I want to start off by saying it's just a tremendous honor to connect with a legendary singer like yourself, the godfather of dancehall, the king of the dub plates, and one of the most righteous, conscious, rude singers ever. I just want to thank you so much for the time. How do you feel about headlining the first ever Word, Sound, Power, Music and Arts Festival?
Well, it's an honor, and I feel honored. And it's the very first time I'm coming to Minnesota any at all. So, I really wanted to see what Minnesota is like, and especially because of George Floyd also. I said, I want to come to Minnesota.
Yeah.
But I came this morning about 10 o'clock, and it's such a quiet, and Saturday morning, it's such a quiet city.
Yeah.
Minneapolis.
Do you like the vibe?
Well, I like the vibe, and the people at this little festival, they are full of vibes and good energy. I must let the people know that I do enjoy it myself and salute the people of Minneapolis.
Do you think that the festivals like this one, can bring in growth and expand sound system culture in the United States?
Of course.
And
then it can bring people of all different cultures together, because the music is a universal language and people can really interact with each other through this music, because this music has a direct vibe that brings people together.
Johnny, you perform all over the world. Where would you say right now, from your experience, that sound system culture is the strongest in the world?
No, I think sound system culture, the strongest in the world that I really feel sound system culture is in Europe.
Yeah, whereabouts in Europe would you say?
I can't tell you exactly where, because when I do sound system, sometimes I do a band tour. I've got a band that I tour with called the Homegrown Band from Paris, and then I do a sound system tour. But everywhere in Europe you go, if it's a good sound playing and it's the right sound and the music is playing right, the people are coming out. So it's not like I can say this one. It's like wherever I go and do a sound system thing,
they love it.
They love it. So
in Europe,
yeah, all over Europe, and Japan also has a good sound system.
Johnny, I love so many of your songs, and I regret, just because of time, I can't ask you about more of them. But perhaps my favorite Johnny Osbourne song that was featured in the Marley documentary that came out in 2012 that was in the movie theaters. It's definitely my wife's favorite song. In fact, I'd only been married to her a few years when we watched the film in the movie theater, and she said, "Who is singing that song?" And I was supposed to be the guy who knew all about reggae,
all right.
And I didn't know that it was you. But my wife at the time, this is why I knew I chose a good woman, she insisted to know, and she called the movie theater, and she said, "I want to know who is singing that song." And it's through her that I found out about that you were the singer of that song. And I know that song, the song that I'm talking about, is "We Need Love."
We Need Love.
Yeah, and it's off of your 1979 Truth and Rights album, the first album that you cut for Sir Coxon Dodd, which is one of my all-time favorite reggae albums ever.
And that's one of my favorite Johnny Osbourne albums also.
Yeah. And I think that you said, you told, there's a reggae journalist who I respect named Angus Taylor, and you told him in 2018 that you thought the Truth and Rights album was maybe your greatest album to date. Now you have so many albums, you have many. Can you talk for just a moment about why was Truth and Rights to this day, in your view, why is it such a wicked album?
All right, the reason why I think it's such a wicked album, I migrated from Jamaica 1969 to Canada.
Yeah.
And I was out of the music scene after I made my very first album, Come Back Darling, in 1969, migrated to Canada for 10 years. Then I came back to Jamaica, and I always wanted to get my foot in the door of Studio One, because that's my Jamaican Motown, and Clement Coxon Dad is my Berry Gordy of reggae.
Yeah.
So I did not want to live this life and don't have an album recorded at Studio One, 13 Brentford Road. So I went back to Jamaica in 1979 just to give my career a new life. So this album becomes Johnny Osbourne's second coming, because Combat Darling was my first introductory album, and then I was out of the picture in the Jamaican music for 10 years. So I came back, and now I came back and I decided to stay, and I stayed like from the summer of 79, and I left back. I didn't leave Jamaica until December 1980. So I was there, and I didn't plan anything. I just wanted to do some songs to studio, and this is what I felt just by my vibration, what comes out.
Johnny, the songs on an album were so awesome. I mean, you know, Jealousy, Heartache, and Pain. All these songs that are on that album are so great. Did you write all the songs for the album before you showed up at Studio One? Did you have all the songs written?
No, I didn't have all the songs written. But while I was in Canada, I was listening to all the rhythms that I want to sing, and when I hear some rhythms from Studio One that I'm saying, these rhythms are not finished yet, because they can never be finished until I have my voice on them. They are not finished recording with yet.
Yeah.
So when I go to Jamaica, I went to Studio One, went to Mr. Dad, and I told him I really wanted to do some songs for Studio One. And he said if I know which rhythm, I said I've been listening to them rhythm and study them from I'm in Canada. And I picked out my rhythms, go for the tape them with dust, take them out, dust them off, pile them up, cause some tape I may have two rhythm, so I might have one, bring them and pile them up.
Did you choose all the rhythms yourself?
I choose my rhythm, because I've been listening. I've been in Canada and say when I go to Jamaica I want to sing on this rhythm, that rhythm, that rhythm. So when I go I pick them out. I just played for a while, and then my mind I didn't write them on paper. I listen to them and I go in the studio. I've been listening to them, so I'm vibing in my mind. And when I go in the studio, I just sing whatever the rhythm gives me a feeling, and then that's what I sing. We Need Love gave me I'm a very spiritual bounce, like the Negro spiritual churches who play that up-tempo music. So I wanted a song that have that up-tempo, black church feel.
I want to ask you about that, because
it's a Negro spiritual feeling that I had, like I'm in the church. If you know that, when I was a young boy, I used to go to church every Sunday, because my grandmother, it's not because I wanted to go, but my grandmother make sure you're going.
Do you remember the name of the church where you went, where you had to go?
Well, my grandmother is Afro-Caribbean religion called Revival.
Oh.
So it's a revivalist church.
Yeah.
And the revivalist church was beside where my grandmother lives.
Yeah.
So it's next door. And, it was a revivalist church,
Yeah. Well, I mentioned... I'm sorry, go ahead.
So some Jamaican call it Pocominia.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of church my granny is into. And it's a clap and drum and singing, so I like that. So this song gave me a nice up-tempo feel like that, so I had to make a song like that.
Anyone who has studied closely the lyrics to We Need Love, they know, it's truly just a lovely, warm autobiography kind of tune, and it's almost like a poem. And in fact, I think, you said that I think you said before that your music career and how you got started was in the church.
Because that's what I'm saying. I had to go to church by force. The grandmother said I have to come, and by being in the church with my grandmother, sometimes when I just started going, I wasn't enjoying it. I was kind of bored, because it's not what I wanted to do. I want to be out on the street with my friends running up and down, but my grandmother make sure you go. So I had to find a way to make myself comfortable inside the church.
Yeah.
And other kids are there with their grandmother and their mother, and they're singing and clapping and jumping. So to make myself comfortable, I learned a few songs, up-tempo songs.
Now, I understand that your mom sent you to the famous Alpha Boys School, and I believe that you even played first the trumpet. But
I was learning second trumpet in Alpha band, because my mother had to board me at Alpha to get me off the streets because she think I might get with bad company and get in trouble, so she wanted to get me off the street.
And
that was one of the best things she did.
What did your mom do for work to support you and the family, and your brother and sister?
Well, my mom, at the time when I was young, my mom was just an office maid at the ministry, one of the government ministry. She was being an office maid.
Wow. Okay. And was your mom or anyone else in your family a talented singer or musician?
No, my grandmother goes to the church and sing, and she's a good singer. That's all I know. And, so I listen to my grandma.
Yeah.
Nobody else in my family. I don't know other things.
Before you left Jamaica in 1969 to live in Canada for 10 years, you recorded an album called "Come Back, Darling."
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, for Winston Riley's Techniques.
Yeah.
And you recorded this, I understand, on the very day you left.
Yeah, I finished that recording on the very morning, but when I was migrating, and I left in the afternoon.
Were you already immersed and familiar with the Rasta way of life and Rasta beliefs already?
Yeah, well, I live in Western Kingston, so from a little boy I'm interacting with the Rasta man them. Yeah. And I love the Rasta man them and the Rasta man them style.
Yeah.
So I took on that Rasta style. Even before I dreadlocks, I was Rasta.
So before you went to Canada though? Before you went to Canada,
I said even before I wear dreadlocks, I was Rasta because that's what I was following the Rasta man them tradition from early. I stopped doing a lot of things that Rasta don't do from I was even before I dreadlocks.
Things like that, yeah. Now, are there any particular people, perhaps like Rasta elders or Rasta musicians, who really influenced you in that early way in your life to kind of take a look at that way of life?
I want to tell you, when I was young and Rasta business in Jamaica, like I used to remember some elder Rasta.
Yeah.
Like the other Rasta man that I was more close with, called Mortimer
Planner, yeah.
That was what, like.
So you were close to him?
Yeah, because I lived close by, and then I used to go to just stop over Mortimer Planner.
So would you reason with him and talk?
Yeah, because I live in Jonestown and Trenchtown, coming like in the same town.
Yeah.
Over that side, so I'm always going over to 1st Street, 2nd Street. We hang out with Baba and Bunny and Peter, Vision, Rita, and Tata, right, and Georgie. There I was living on 2nd Street. So from there, then we make a stop at Planner sometime because like Planner doesn't live too far from me,
Do you remember when Selassie visited Jamaica and how your thoughts were?
1966 when His Majesty visited Jamaica. I rode a bicycle to the airport onto the
tarmac?
Right onto the tarmac.
Oh my!
And I was underneath the plane. I touched the plane when His Majesty came out. When His Majesty niece came to the plane step and looked out, it's like she was astonished and went back in. I was at the bottom of the step.
You blow my mind, Johnny.
1966, I was about 19 years old, so I remember good.
Wow. Johnny, unlike many singers and musicians who have complained publicly about the way that they were treated by Coxon, even if they respect him, many of them, even ones I've interviewed, have complained about him. And at the same time, they were working for him at the same time that you were. But you have been it's clear from my research and from looking at it that you've been very clear that you don't have complaints about Sir Coxsone.
No, I don't have complaints about Sir Coxsone.
Yeah.
Now, like, just in my thoughts, this is not gospel. This is not something that I know, but it's my opinion that the reason why I don't have any complaint because I did not record for Coxsone when I was just coming up in the business and trying to be an artist.
Yeah.
When I record for Coxsone, I had established myself 10 years before and made an album for myself and I make a name for myself.
Yeah.
So when I went to Studio One, I was ready. Coxsone didn't have to help me or mold me into an artist. So I wasn't working for Coxsone. Like most artists were there, working like it's every day, every week,
You're
every year.
more on the same level.
Yeah, but no,
You were more on the same level as Coxsone.
Yeah, I came and I did what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I'm gone.
Was he, now I know you've said that he treated you like family before.
Yeah, of
but
course.
Was he also fair to you on the business side then, of things?
Yeah, listen, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My time is a different time.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I don't care who says he didn't treat them right. I cannot get up and say the same thing because I don't know how he treated them. I was not there. I was not working for him when they were working for him.
Yeah.
So now I come to the album and a few songs. So we were on a different page.
Yeah. Johnny, if it's okay, I just want to ask you about one other favorite song, and I want to thank you for being so generous with your time. I want to ask you about the first song you sang today. This is one of my favorite songs, and so many people too. Your massive dancehall hit, Buddy Bye, on Jamie's Slang Tang rhythm. This is a song that, unless you're dead, you have to sing and dance whenever it plays.
Yeah.
I was shocked when I learned that, I didn't know this, when I learned that Buddy Bye is not actually what you're singing in the song, but it's actually Put It By.
Put It By number one.
And
put it by number one. Put it by. So when people hear it, they think they're hearing put it by. Like it's
like a gunshot, like almost like a
like a blank.
Yeah.
Put it by.
They're saying like encore, go again.
Yeah.
Bring it back. And
so after a while I start saying that too because it works good for an encore.
I mean, the tune is so hot, and you have to put it in the top. You have to highly rate it. Can you describe or say how it is that you came up with this Scorcher, and how did you also, when did you decide to, you let the name of the song, the official name is Buddy Bye. Did you say fine?
No.
How did that come up that the song became named that?
Well, maybe the producer just hear the people them saying Buddy Bye and just put Buddy Bye.
Named it that. And how did you come up with the song? How did you
these things, I listen to the rhythm and the rhythm just say that.
Wow.
I hear the rhythm and I listen to the rhythm a few times and that's what I hear in my mind. I just come up with it.
Johnny,
that's nothing that I wrote. I just come up with it.
Johnny, the call and response going on in Buddy Bye or Put It By is so original and is so dope. And to this day, any audience will go wild with that call and response in Buddy Bye.
Yeah, true, so true.
So, and I read that you said, or maybe I watched you say somewhere, that you got this idea to incorporate this call and response from slave songs.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
Wow. Johnny, I don't have any more questions. I know you need to go eat some more food, or eat some food. I just want to say to you that it's just truly a blessing. It's a great honor to talk to you. I'm perhaps your number one fan. You may not know this.
All right, well, I feel honored to know that I could have, now I'm done this for you because, like, you're interested in the music and it's for the music, it's not for me, it's for the music.
I so appreciate you. And Johnny, the last thing I want to ask you is, before I turn off the recorder, is do you have any, there's so many people love your music. We learn from your music, truth and rights. We have gotten so much from you over the years. What message do you want all of your fans who are all over the world, who listen to everything you say so closely, what do you want them to know right now in the world?
I want them to know, why do we fight each other when we can live together? The world is big enough. Everyone's got enough. A piece for you and a piece for me, because everybody is family. Why do we fight each other when we can live together? That's all I want.